Hey guys, it's Nicole, and today I'm gonna go and just show you guys all of the layouts together that I did with the Simple Stories collection. So happy together. I think I finally remember the name of the collection. So previous to this, there would have been 11 process videos that I posted. You guys would have seen the sort of end of all of the supplies and what I had left. I was really good, and I actually already put everything in my leftover binder, which is basically what I'm calling this. So you can see I've put the leftover stickers away, the chipboard, the die cuts, pretty much everything is in here. I normally can't focus on projects like this, but I was on a video chat with some YouTube friends, so I just sat down and worked on this, and I got that whole big container of leftover pieces put away. And I even labeled them during another chat. So I feel like I'm adulting over here. Okay, so like I said, there is a process video for all of these. And I'm just going to go in the order of when I posted them. That's not necessarily the order of when I put them together. It just kind of goes based on when I need to upload them. So the first one is basically just an album opener page for my 2020 album. So these photos are also in other pages, just bigger. And unfortunately, I dropped my camera on my layout while I was taking photos of it. So I need to go ahead and just order a sand eraser, I guess, and try to get that off. I might even try like an actual sanding block, only because I'm currently painting my kitchen cabinets and I have it available. So I might go ahead and try that. And then this one was layout number 2, and I do have kind of a mix of single pages and double pages. That's just kind of what works out, and I think the key factor for me in being able to stay focused for this long on a collection and sort of sit with it for this long was to use a big group of photos, so our family photos, and to use like one sketchbook. So a lot of these came from the whole picture volume 2 from Scrapbook Generations. Some of the single page sketches I just went on their website and found like freebies that they had posted. So here's this one, and this one was, you can see I was using the die cut hearts on this one and foam tape. This was before I kind of got the idea to make my own sort of fake chipboard hearts, and once I figured that out, I was like, oh, I don't need to hoard these hearts anymore. I can just make my own. And then this one, again, process video available for it. This one I did use a bunch of the circle die cuts that were in there. It just kind of worked out for the sketch that I was following, and then I punched out some of my own. I was really trying to use a lot of the pre-made titles that were included instead of pulling out letter stickers. So that's 3. This one was 4. So again, if you have been on the fence about purchasing the whole picture volume 2 sketchbook, I just bought the digital version and printed it out myself, mostly because I'm impatient and didn't want to wait on shipping. So this is kind of like a good idea of what you would be getting in that sketchbook. I didn't do a whole lot of variations or changes to it. A lot of what I was doing was changing the photos to be able to include more or take one away, but I did follow it. Sometimes I change things up like title or journaling placement, but this will give you kind of a good idea as far as that sketchbook. And then I mentioned in my process videos that a lot of times I will cut my die cuts in half, especially if I know I'm just tucking them underneath. So things like this where you only got one tree but they gave you 12 houses, I cut the tree in half and was able to use it twice. So that was layout 4. Layout 5 is this one. And I did not print my journaling on the background. What I ended up doing was just cutting a 2 by 12 inch strip of the same paper that I used for my background and just printed it on there and kind of pieced it together. And then I specifically picked one of the sketches from the sketchbook that incorporated a lot of strips because I noticed that that was a lot of what my scraps were. And behind the photo, they don't all connect. Like some of them were long enough, but if I only had a short piece and I wanted to go ahead and try to use it up, I tucked it underneath. Again, I was using the chipboard that came with the 6x12 chipboard as my title, and then this was about the time when I was cutting, I think it's this one, I was starting to cut my own hearts with a lawn fawn die, and I absolutely loved it. It was kind of like a good palette cleanser in a way to just sit there and cut hearts and glue them together and then be able to have a ton of them to use on other layouts, because I think it only came with like 10 in the die cut pack, maybe. Okay, so this would be, what are we on, 5, 2, 3, no, this would be 6. So 6, I used the photos of my kids together. Originally I was going to separate it and do a layout of just my kids together and then a separate layout of them with their monkeys, but when I was looking at it, I was going to have, I don't know how to explain this. Like if I'm doing a double page and I'm following a sketch and I only have like 5 or 6 photos and it feels very wasteful in a sense to kind of spread them out on a 2-page, I will convert it to a single page and put those 5 or 6 photos on a single page. When I was looking at these photos, it was going to kind of go that way, and I was like, you know what, let me play in Photoshop and let me see if I can change up the sizes of my photos and see if I can sort of just smush them together. So basically I just kept the photos of them, just brother and sister at the top, and then all the photos of them with their monkeys at the bottom. 10, 12, so I got 16 photos on a double page layout, which is something that I do like to do. That is something that I like to do, especially with Scrapbook Generation sketches. So in the sketch it would have shown that this was a 6x4, a 6x4, a 6x4, and a 6x4. So by changing it, I was able to go from 4 photos to 8 photos just with printing. So I would kind of look into that if you are struggling with trying to get more photos on a layout. So what did I say? This was 6? I think that's 6. 7, this was part of our monthly hop where we were scraplifting people. So I scraplifted one of my friends that does digital scrapbooking, and I converted a digital file to a cuttable file, cut it out on my Silhouette, and just backed everything with scraps. I was able to use up some just weird die cuts that I was gonna struggle to use, so I just kind of tucked them in here and there. And I didn't really do a whole lot of journaling other than to just say that this was one of the years that our family photos happened to fall on our wedding anniversary. And last October was 17 years for us. So this would be 8? No. I'm already losing count. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 7. So 8, I did mom and dad with kids, and I used a Allison Davis for Scrapbook Generation sketch. She does a lot of these things where she will show you how you take a sketch and she'll do 3 different variations on it. She'll do one that's pretty close to the sketch, she'll do one that's a bigger variation of that sketch, and then a lot of times she will do one where it's a conversion of taking a double page sketch to a single page layout and vice versa. So this one had a whole bunch of strips that went diagonal, and her strips were about 1 inch wide, so she only had, you know, maybe 20 going across the whole thing. I just used what I had left, and in the process video you will see that behind this is mostly open space. So if I had like a 3-inch scrap, I was able to use it because I'm putting a little bit here and a little bit here, and it really sort of cleaned out my scrap bin, which was really nice because I kind of struggle with using scraps. A lot of times I'll just pitch them, but strips is something that I do like to do. That's something that even on my own, if I can't think of something that I want to do, I will just make a background out of strips, and it usually makes me happy. I like seeing a ton of pattern paper. Pattern paper is my favorite supply, so it tends to be what I go with. And then I did go ahead and stitch around the frame. I wanted something that was going to be subtle but still add interest, but still be somewhat visible on top of all of these patterns. And then I just kind of mirrored what I had going on. I didn't do any journaling for this one. I just really didn't feel like I needed to. Anytime I do our family photos, it ends up being, you know, 8 to 10 layouts just of our family photos because I'm the type that I can't sort of pick and choose. So a lot of times I will journal on the ones where it's the photos of my son or the photos of my daughter, and then everything else I kind of treat more of just like a photo display. I kind of just go with what I'm feeling at the moment. Oh, and I've already lost count again. I think that's 8. I know there's 11 total. So then this would be 9. So now I'm basically down to single page layouts. I did follow a single page Scrapbook Generation sketch. The information on that is in the process video. At this point, I have already put sketches away or tossed them if they were double copies. This one on the actual sketch had even quadrants here. So I think it might have been like 4x4 photos and then like one area of paper and journaling and stuff. I stretched it to fit my photos, and then I just made my scraps fit the 2 openings. And I basically just journaled about when we bought our house 5 years ago, and I was able to pull a photo off of Facebook and the one that I had posted when we got the phone call that basically said that they had approved our offer and everything was moving forward from then. So this is page 9. Page 10, listen, the boxes, the chairs, the lamps, and the houses in this collection just didn't make a whole lot of sense for me. I get it that like it's family, it's house and home, that kind of thing. I just generally don't scrapbook things that I would require chair icons and stuff. So that has kind of been the biggest struggle for me. So when I sat down and was trying to think of photos and I did this one, I knew that I had some photos from when we had moved, and I thought, you know what, let me go look through them. And basically we moved in, we put away things like bedrooms and kitchen stuff, and then we slowly kind of dealt with everything else. But the first thing that my husband needed to do was go buy a TV and mount it over our fireplace. So our fireplace has like a big, like 2 feet deep, big opening thing. The previous owners had like a regular like bubble TV over on the floor over here, but my husband wanted to mount it, so he ended up calling his uncle and his dad to come over and sort of help him put it up, because he was basically making up his own mounting system because of the way that we were putting it at the time. They didn't really have these kits where the TV would be coming out from a hole. But I just thought it was funny. Oh, there's the hole. I just thought it was funny that sort of the first thing that we needed to do was put the TV up. But then at the same time, I was very thankful because we still didn't have a couch yet, but we had my kids' chairs. And so we like immediately got the Wi-Fi set up, got the PlayStation put on, and was able to get through to Netflix. And the kids just kind of sat here and watched TV. If they weren't here, they were basically running around the open rooms. And then we made a trip to Target just to go get some sort of console table to be able to put like all the Wi-Fi stuff, some of the other video game components and stuff. It's all in here. We had basically thrown away our old one when we moved out because it was just destroyed after so many years of having it. But I was able to use not 1 chair, but 2 chairs and some lamps. So I just kind of picked things that I thought made sense with sort of when you move into your house and you have a bunch of stuff laying around. So this is layout 10. Again, there is a process video available for all of these. And then this is 11. 11 would have just gone up as the 20th of the month hop that I am hosting. And I basically just kind of did what I did with that first layout, where I had all these 2x2s cut out. So I went ahead and ran them through my die cut machine again. And I used the My Favorite Things Pierced Stacks Squares. They are no longer available, but you can still buy the plain stack squares that cut and the stitched. So it would be the same thing. The only difference is on the pierced ones, it just makes these little, like, almost like sewing lines. These were just the ones that I happened to buy, and I probably bought them during a retirement sale, but I absolutely love them. They're a good basic, and I love them for those pattern papers that come with these squares. So I just made kind of my own grid. I eyeballed my photos and then just trimmed them down to match up with my squares. And basically this was, we had taken about a month overlap between going from our previous house to this house. And so on probably the last day that we were there before we turned keys in, I had to go meet the carpet cleaners. So the kids were with me, the house was completely empty. They were basically just running around, and the carpet cleaners were dealing with the 2 rooms that had carpet. And then on our way out, I just had the kids sit down in one of the windows of their rooms just to kind of document the fact that we brought both kids home to this house, and you know, we were leaving. Up until this point, this was the only house that they had ever known. So I just wanted to take a couple pictures, and then I had a couple of pictures on my phone of sort of what we were doing. I think this was, we found in the backyard that we had left. So, but yeah, I just cut squares, and then I cut some strips to sort of fill in these gaps of things just weren't sized right. So that worked out for me. It's not centered on the actual layout, mostly just because, again, I was on a video chat, wasn't paying attention. But I did manage to get this done while chatting with my friends and doing a process video. So I just kind of picked a couple squares to decorate. Squares like this one and this one were leftover pattern paper. The 2x2s all had an image on it, and it felt very heavy to me. So I cut some out from pattern paper to be able to embellish them. So some of them I just did like tone on tone things. So I used a lamp and a phrase. This is from the sticker sheet. Basically I used this globe to cover up the globe that was on the thing just to get it used up. Again, another tone on tone, one of the hearts and a phrase. And then this. And then I just used some letter stickers here, a phrase, and then I used some of the extra eyes from the thickers. So yeah, that was about it. I am pretty proud of myself for sticking with a collection for this long. It was a fun process. I definitely learned a lot about supply purchasing, things that I should stay away from, things that I know I love and will use up completely. Definitely slow down and look at the actual sticker sheet and the icons in the collection a little closer, just to figure out, you know, how many do I think that I would just never use, and am I okay with that? Or, you know, if it's 50% or more, that maybe that's not the collection for me. But it definitely was a fun process. I enjoyed bringing out some of my favorite die cuts and stamps and being able to kind of stretch myself, especially once I got done with the family photo session and I wasn't using the sketchbook anymore. And I was just really looking back through everything and trying to challenge myself, and it was definitely a challenge. But I enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the series. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about continuing on with these series. I think I'm going to do another one with the Simple Stories Easter collection. Because I thoroughly enjoyed the process, and I have a ton of Easter photos that I have not scrapbooked, so I would like to be able to share that with you guys, but at the same time I would like to kind of know your guys' feedback too. So I will catch you guys in another video, and as always, I appreciate you guys stopping by, and I love chatting with you, and I will catch you guys later.